What's the most unexpected way you got into a relationship? I worked with my ex for nearly a year, and once I chose to move on from that job, her being essentially the only person I actually liked working with, I asked her to grab a drink before I left. I always thought she was cute, but she was more than a decade younger than me, so I didn't expect anything. Not thinking much more of the invitation. A few days later, she followed up asking about the drink, which completely threw me off because I'm just used to nothing ever happening. So we set a date for a Sunday afternoon, 2 days after my last shift. On our last shift together, prior to our catching up for a drink, the mood was light, and we had a ball bouncing our personalities off each other. As simple as it sounds, at the end of the night, she had her hair up, and when she took it out and let her hair down, it blew me away. Moments later, we went for an awkward hug. I went to give her a high five on the way out the door, and her fingers slowly caressed mine and slipped through mine as she removed her hand. The jolt of electricity that went through me was like nothing I'd ever felt before. I later found out the feeling was mutual, and she immediately turned and bolted out the door, and I just stood there dumbfounded and discombobulated for a minute. The drink took on a whole different meaning. We were both nervous, ended up having one drink each, delved into some real deep conversations, where we moved to a bench on the beach and sat and talked about our pasts and our lives for the next 4 to 5 hours. One thing led to another, and we ended up spending a good chunk of my final week in town together. I left town, both of us thinking that was probably going to be it, but we kept in touch and things progressed pretty rapidly, to the extent that less than 2 months later, I turned around and drove back to the opposite side of Australia to be there and see what happened. It was bumpy at times, yet we made things work for about a year until my visa was up and needed to return to USA. We tried long distance for another year, before inevitably it failed and we no longer speak to one another. It sucks, but I'm glad it happened. Just wish the landing was a lot smoother.